Hello. This speech is about the importance of protecting the marine environment. There will be very few technical terms in the speech, but I think you've come across most of them before. Terms such as phytoplankton, zooplankton, and some fish names, not very exotic ones, cod and bluefish tuna, sharks, whales, and that's it. So I'm going to start now. And I can start by making a simple statement. This planet is an ocean. To illustrate it, I'm going to give you some figures. 71% of Earth's surface is covered in water. 74% of all species are aquatic species. And interestingly, only 5% of the oceans have been fully explored. However, in recent years, the oceans have been facing the most severe crisis in their history. One might ask, how is that possible? It's such a huge area, for one, and surely there are systems in place to prevent any such problems, at least in Europe, but probably all over the world as well. Well, let's look at Europe first. Europe has the CFP, the Common Fisheries Policy. It was first introduced back in 1970s and has gone through a number of updates in subsequent years. The latest update was on the 1st of January 2014. What is the Common Fisheries Policy? It is a set of rules for managing European fishing fleets and for conserving fish stocks. It was designed to manage a common resource. It gives all European fishing fleets equal access to EU waters and fishing grounds, and is meant to allow fishermen to compete fairly. Now, whether equal access means that they're actually competing fairly is debatable, because we all know that some fishing fleets have, how shall I put it, more effective equipment than others. But let's set the economic issues aside for a moment and look at the conservation proper. As a matter of fact, stocks may be renewable, but they're not infinite. Some of these fishing stocks are clearly being overfished. Now, the EU countries have tried to take action to ensure the European fishing industry is sustainable and does not threaten the fish population size and productivity in the long term, because that's obviously important as well. It seeks to combine and reconcile the economic aim of maximizing catches and ensuring that fishing and aquaculture are environmentally, economically and socially sustainable, and that they provide a source of healthy food for EU citizens. Now, the goal is to promote the development of a dynamic fishing industry and to ensure that the fishermen in Europe have a fair standard of living. At the same time, it is meant to ensure that fishing practices do not harm the ability of fish populations to reproduce. It must be said that to this day, the impact of fishing and other human activities at sea, and here I mean oil rigs, noise pollution caused by big vessels, submarines, what have you, is not fully understood. If we want to come up with a really comprehensive solution to the problem of the marine environment being threatened by human activity, we should start by recognizing the impact of that human activity on all components of the ecosystem. Also, oceans don't have any physical borders, so other countries around the world should be encouraged and helped to do so. Now, to begin to understand how vital the oceans are for life on Earth and how humans are impacting the oceans, we have to start looking at one of the smallest creatures that inhabit the ocean, phytoplankton. Phytoplankton stands to indicate microscopic marine plants which produce 80% of world's oxygen. In other words, out of every 10 breaths you take, 8 come from phytoplankton. And to give you an idea how minuscule these creatures are, just 1 cup of seawater may contain up to 100 million tiny phytoplankton. And yet, huge plumes of these microscopic plants can even be seen from space as they divide, multiply, and move with the currents around the globe. And they play such a crucial role in the marine ecosystem that if they were to become extinct, it would spell the end of life on Earth. Other than producing oxygen and capturing carbon, because that's what they do as well, they're also a primary source of food for small marine animals at the very bottom of the food chain. For this reason, any major imbalance in the number or indeed quality of phytoplankton is likely to have a major knock-on effect on other predators, bigger animals. To put it simply, the more phytoplankton there is, the more sea animals there will be. But that is not all. Apart from being at the bottom of the marine food chain and providing food for tiny fish, they have a truly symbiotic relationship with the largest animal on Earth, whales. Whales feed on fish, krill, plankton, and other small marine animals, and they often hunt in the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean. However, since they have to come back up to the surface to breathe, they thus bring up those valuable nutrients to the top levels of the ocean as well. For example, blue whales defecate up to 3 tons into the sea every day. That natural nitrogen-rich fertilizer provides food for the phytoplankton, which in turn provides food for the zooplankton and fish, and ultimately the whales again. Humans, on the other hand, take everything from the sea and give nothing back. Fishermen often claim that whales and seals steal their food, in inverted commas, steal their fish. How is it their fish? And therefore they think it's all right to destroy them in turn. Many don't realize that in order to have more fish, there must be more seals, whales, and other predatory animals in the sea to keep this symbiotic cycle going. Humans are the main cause of the depletion of these species. An estimated 650,000 whales, dolphins, and seals are killed by fishing vessels every year, not to mention the bycatch, or indeed the endangered fish species there are to catch, such as cod or bluefish tuna. But these are not the only animals we're driving to extinction. It is estimated that around 200,000 sharks are killed every day for the shark fin industry. It adds up to 73 million sharks a year. 140 different species are listed as threatened by extinction by the Ocean Preservation Society. And yet, sharks are apex predators. How can they be threatened? They even eat humans. They've been around for 400 million years, and it is fair to think that their extinction would very likely dismantle the entire marine ecosystem. It is not just the Asian restaurant demand for shark fins that's a problem. Sharks are often pulled out of the sea as bycatch. Bycatch means that it is fish that has no real commercial value and therefore is either discarded, thrown back into the sea, often when it's already dead. And so if it's a small fish, it can't grow, and it further destroys the fish stocks. Or else this bycatch, and it accounts for about 16% of all fish caught worldwide, is ground up into fish meal and pellets and fed to livestock. The astonishing result is that pigs, cows and chickens are now leading oceanic predators. I've already mentioned the dwindling stocks of cod and bluefish tuna. Perversely, even though the existing stocks of frozen bluefish tuna, particularly in Japan, are sufficient to ensure proper supplies over a 15-year period, the fishing effort is continuing unabated. Probably because bluefish tuna is becoming rare, it is in some perverse way driving up the demand and the price, and that's why the fishing continues. Needless to say, a 15-year suspension of this fishing would certainly give tuna the opportunity to reproduce, and the stocks would be replenished. Another problematic fishery sector is shrimping. It accounts for 2% only of the global catch, but a staggering 1/3 of bycatch. In other words, for every 1 kilogram of shrimp caught, there are 20 kilograms of other animals pulled out of the ocean as bycatch. And I've already told you what happens with bycatch. The result in some parts of the world, luckily not in Europe, or should I say not yet, here I'm talking about countries in Southeast Asia. Well, the result is that the ocean is becoming more and more depleted. The fishermen are working much longer hours, they're working much harder, and yet they're catching fewer and fewer fish. To give you but one example, Thailand. Apparently, the fishermen there are working 7 times harder, and yet catching only 14% of what they used to catch 50 years ago. Surely, there is a lesson to be learned here before it's too late. We need more stringent rules and more stock protection measures in Europe as well.